Last night, I had a dream. And this is one of those type of dreams that it seems you only have maybe once every 6 months, once a year maybe. In being the amount of detail and how vivid the dream is and just how much you can remember of this particular dream. And I'm going to tell you about it. I had a dream, and in this dream, I don't know where I was coming from or exactly where I was going. I just knew I was heading south. And I was driving. I was a driver, and I was driving a delivery truck, kind of like a box truck, kind of like a U-Haul truck, you know. It's got the cab and then the big box behind it. And in this dream, I was driving. I don't know which point I was driving from. I don't know where I was going, except I was only going south. And in this dream, I decided that I would go back to my hometown while I was on my route. In the dream, I was going close to where I'm from. And here's a picture of the town that I'm from. And I decided to make a slight detour and go through my hometown. Because in this dream, it had been many decades since I had been there. It may have been 30, 40 years since I had been to my hometown, and I wanted to see it. And I wanted to see my dad's old place. Well, I'm driving, like I said, it was a delivery truck, and I had cargo. And I don't know what the cargo was, but I know there was illegal cargo that I was carrying. I know it must have been a fairly dangerous line of work, or it could potentially be dangerous, because I carried a large .44 Magnum in the driver's seat next to me, so where I could reach down and grab it quickly if I needed to. And I was, like I said, I was carrying some illegal type of cargo. I don't know if it was drugs or guns or what, but it was mixed in with other type of just other freight, you know, legal freight. A very odd dream. Like I said, it was very vivid, very realistic, except for a couple of parts of it. But yeah, I was working, I was driving, and I decided to go back to my hometown. And I go up the mountain towards the town that I'm from. And my, how things have changed. The 2-lane highway, 19E, in the years and the decades that I had been gone, had turned into a 6-lane highway. I was driving up the mountain, and it was coming a blizzard. It was snowing very hard. It was winter. And I had brown coveralls on, and I had a camouflage trucker hat on. I'm driving up the mountain and getting to the area where my town starts. I mean, there was a lot of traffic. It was completely different than the last time that I had been there. And as I'm getting to that point, there is like a huge checkpoint. It would remind you something of, like, you know, how it is on our southern border if you were to come from Mexico into the United States, or vice versa. It was like a border checkpoint of some sort. There was police everywhere and officials. And I remember being nervous whenever I seen this. I was instantly like, wow, I don't know if I should have done this, because I'm carrying something illegal. I don't know what it is. But I'm waiting in line, and I finally get up to my turn to get checked. And the police, they came up to me, the border guard or whatever, come up to my window. I had it rolled down. They asked me for my license and papers. I hand them my license. I reach up to the visor, I pull it, because that must have been where I kept the registration, and it falls down onto my lap. And you know the little mirror there that's on the visor? I remember I catch a glimpse of myself in this mirror, and I'm an old man, probably up in my 60s. I have white, messy, long hair. My mustache, my beard is white. I just catch a glimpse of myself for a second. And I had lots of wrinkles. I was an old man in this dream. I've never had a dream like this. It was very odd. I hand the official my license and registration there. And I hear them, his co-workers, they open the back door to my truck. And I hear them say a few words, and they pull the door back down. And the official comes back. He's like, everything checks out, you can go on through. So I was relieved a little bit. But I did not recognize my hometown. I drove down the main strip, and it was like a huge city, except it was a city that was falling apart in on itself. There was dilapidated buildings. I mean, it resembled a third world country in a way. And it was chaos in a way. It seemed like I seen police everywhere. I'd see them, they'd have someone pulled over on the side of the street, or I mean, it was a terrible sight to see. It would remind you of like Chicago or Baltimore meets Southern Appalachia. I mean, and I could not recognize hardly anything. I went by a particular landmark in town, and it's the hill. It's basically in the middle of town back home. It's the hill where my great-grandparents and my maternal grandfather is buried. I could recognize it because I seen the hill, but the graveyard was gone. And over top of it was built these huge 5-story, 4-story or 5-story apartments, like projects. It's untelling where the graveyard had went or what they had done with the people buried there. And I mean, there's neon lights everywhere. It's pouring the snow. And I mean, it is a heartbreaking sight to see. It was just so different than the last time that I had been there. I even managed, in looking for my dad's old place, I managed to get lost. I somehow got lost in the town that I'm from. And I drove around, and I mean, I seen things. I seen people walking, homeless people. Seen cops arresting people. I mean, it was just mind-blowing to me. It was kind of chaotic. And I drove around in the snow, and I finally just kind of gave up. I found a gas station that was on a corner of an intersection, and I pulled my truck in there. I was like, damn, I shouldn't have came here. This was a horrible mistake. I just need to get back out. I'd given up on trying to find my dad's old place. My old place too. Because I other than that, the old graveyard that now had these projects built on top of it, that was one of the very few things that I could barely recognize. It was nighttime, by the way. And it was snowing very hard. Wind was howling. I pull into the gas station, and I sat there for a second. And this is where it gets a little weird. I see, over across the parking lot, my dad's truck setting. And the engine I could see the exhaust coming out of the pipe. And I figured I'm going to go over there and see if that's my dad, which is crazy in a way, because I mean, if my dad would still be alive when I had this dream, he would be a very old man. I mean, my dad's 27. He was 27 when I was born. So I get out of the truck, and I had my coveralls on, and the wind's blowing so hard it blew my hat away. I didn't bother trying to chase it or pick it up. And as I said, I'm an old man. I was moving kind of slow. And I make my way over to the truck, and I peek on the window. And Dad was inside the truck. And it was very weird. He opens the door and he looks at me and he's like, "What are you doing, Dave?" He gets out and I hug him. And he kind of like looks me up and down. He's like, "Damn, son, you look old." And you know what's strange about this part of the dream is that my dad looks exactly the same as he does today. It's like all this time had passed and he hadn't aged one bit. Actually, I looked older than my father by many years. He is like, "Damn, son, you look old." And I'm like, "Dad, I'm so happy to see you. What's happened to this place? What's went wrong?" And my dad looks at me and he says, "Everything, son. Everything." And then I wake up. So yeah, it was a very, very strange dream. It was very vivid. Just being able to remember all these details, it's just a very strange dream. Funny how I don't know if, some people think dreams mean something, and I don't know if this is one of those dreams that mean something or not, but yeah, it was a fantastic dream. A troubling dream, I've thought about that dream all day. I actually just got off the phone with my mom and told her about this dream. Yeah, I just figured I would share this with you. It was just very odd, I hope it's not a sign of things to come or whatever, but anyway, thank y'all for watching. Bye-bye.